Have you ever sat in silence, staring at the ceiling, feeling an inexplicable emptiness, a creeping sense that life is passing you by, and told yourself, "I'm just lazy"? What if I told you that this label, this judgment, is a veil that obscures a far deeper truth? That beneath the surface of your inactivity lies not sloth, but confusion. A soul adrift, searching for direction in a world that offers endless noise but few signposts. In the shadow of our modern age, the map that once guided humanity has been lost. Ancient wisdom, once whispered in temples, monasteries, and the quiet corners of forests, now competes with endless distractions. Screens that demand our attention, voices that shape our desires, and a society that measures worth in productivity alone. To feel lost today is not a personal failing. It is the natural response of a mind untethered from its true compass. This video is an invitation to explore that hidden labyrinth within. We will journey through the unseen corridors of your psyche, illuminating why the modern mind confuses aimlessness with laziness. We will uncover insights from ancient philosophers, mystics, and esoteric teachings that reveal the secret patterns guiding human behavior. By the end, you will begin to see that what you have mistaken for inertia is in fact a silent cry from the depths of your spirit, a signal that your inner world has become misaligned with your outer life. You will discover how to reorient yourself, to find your path not through force or willpower, but by understanding the underlying currents that shape your desires, your fears, and your actions. Prepare to see yourself not as someone who is lazy, but as a traveler who has temporarily lost their way, and to learn the ancient keys that can guide you back to the path you were always meant to walk. The idea that a human being might appear idle, yet be in fact profoundly misaligned, is not new. Across time, philosophers, mystics, and sages have recognized the subtle difference between true laziness and the disorientation of a soul without a clear path. In the teachings of Carl Jung, for example, the concept of the shadow reveals that much of our inner resistance comes not from sloth, but from aspects of ourselves we have refused to acknowledge. The seemingly lazy moments, those hours lost in indecision or distraction, are often the psyche's attempt to signal that something vital is being ignored. Long before Jung, the Stoics understood the importance of inner alignment. Marcus Aurelius wrote that a man's life is wasted not through idleness, but through aimlessness. To wander without understanding one's own nature is far more destructive than to pause, reflect, or rest. In this sense, what society calls laziness is often the soul's natural hesitation, a protective mechanism preventing one from pursuing paths that are not authentically theirs. Even further back, Eastern traditions recognize this misalignment. In Taoist philosophy, the notion of wu wei, often mistranslated as non-action, describes a state of effortless alignment with the flow of the universe. The Taoist sage does not force movement but allows action to arise naturally from understanding one's place in the greater whole. Those who act blindly, in contrast, are not only busy, they are lost, moving through life without true direction or awareness. Mystical Christianity and Sufi teachings also touch upon this theme. The monks and mystics of these traditions understood that moments of apparent inertia, contemplative silence, extended reflection, even deep melancholy, were not signs of failure, but opportunities for the soul to confront its hidden truths. They called it the dark night of the soul, a period when outward motion stalls, yet inward transformation begins. In the modern era, thinkers like Arthur Schopenhauer observed that human beings are often driven by blind will, a restless energy that propels action without understanding. The discomfort we feel when we are lost is the manifestation of this inner tension, a signal that our energies are scattered and our intentions unclear. Addiction, procrastination, and self-sabotage, Schopenhauer argued, are rarely failures of character. They are symptoms of a spirit unmoored, searching desperately for a sense of meaning and purpose. Across these diverse traditions, one truth emerges. Idleness and misdirection are not the same. The person who is lazy in the eyes of society may, in fact, be wrestling with invisible currents, seeking a way through the labyrinth of their own mind. The question is not why they are inactive, but why they feel lost, and how ancient wisdom can illuminate the path forward. Understanding this context allows us to see our own struggles not as personal failings, but as echoes of universal patterns. It prepares us to move into the deeper exploration of why we feel lost, and how recognizing this truth transforms the way we perceive ourselves and our place in the world. To understand why you are not truly lazy, we must first peel back the layers of perception that cloud your self-awareness. Imagine a traveler wandering in a dense fog. Every step feels uncertain. Every direction seems wrong. From the outside, it may appear that the traveler hesitates, that they fail to move decisively. But the traveler is not lazy. They are lost. They are searching for the faintest hint of a path, a glimmer of understanding, a landmark they can trust. The human mind, much like this traveler, operates according to patterns and instincts shaped by both conscious intentions and unconscious impulses. When these forces are misaligned, inertia is not a sign of weakness. It is the mind's way of pausing, reflecting, and recalibrating. Carl Jung likened this to the tension between the ego and the shadow. The ego strives for a coherent, linear path, while the shadow contains the neglected desires, fears, and truths that resist being ignored. Until the shadow is recognized, the ego falters. It hesitates, it procrastinates, it stalls. Consider the metaphor of a river blocked by debris. Water does not cease to flow because it is lazy. It slows, pools, and searches for a way forward. Only when the obstruction is understood and cleared does the river regain its natural current. Similarly, what appears as human laziness often signals an unseen blockage, a misalignment of values, unresolved trauma, or a lack of clarity about one's purpose. These blocks are invisible, yet their impact is tangible. Hesitation, distraction, anxiety, and self-reproach. In practical terms, the modern world amplifies this disorientation. From a young age, we are taught to pursue productivity, achievement, and success as if these metrics alone define our worth. Yet these external measures rarely align with the inner compass of our authentic selves. The result is a profound inner conflict, a mind driven to act by societal expectations, while the soul resists, craving direction, meaning, and alignment. The tension manifests as what we mistakenly call laziness. History provides another insight. In ancient Hermetic teachings, the idea of as above, so below illustrates the interconnectedness of internal and external worlds. If your inner world is fragmented, chaotic, or unclear, your outer world mirrors that uncertainty. You may wake each day with the desire to act, yet find yourself unable to move decisively. It is not a flaw in your character, it is a reflection of inner disarray. Recognizing this truth reframes the struggle. What seemed like laziness is actually a signal, a whisper from the depths urging you to pause, reflect, and realign. Even the great existentialists understood this dynamic. Nietzsche spoke of the abyss that stares back when one confronts the emptiness of modern life. This abyss is not a call to despair, it is a call to awakening. To feel lost is to sense the edges of one's own potential, the contours of an unexplored self, waiting to be understood and integrated. In this first part of our exploration, the core idea emerges. What we label as laziness is rarely inertia of the body or mind. It is, more often than not, a symptom of disorientation, a pause imposed by the deeper self in response to confusion, misalignment, or unacknowledged truths. The challenge is to recognize this pause, not as failure, but as a necessary step toward clarity. The path forward begins with awareness, seeing the blocks, understanding their origins, and cultivating patience with the process of realignment. In the next part, we will dive deeper into how this misalignment manifests in subtle ways, how societal pressures compound the feeling of being lost, and how embracing this lost state can paradoxically become the doorway to true direction and purpose. Now that we understand that perceived laziness often masks inner disorientation, it's time to explore the deeper nuances of this state. Being lost is rarely a singular issue. It is a constellation of forces pulling the mind in conflicting directions, creating a paralysis of action. Imagine standing at the center of a labyrinth, each corridor promising a different possibility, yet none offering certainty. The mind's indecision, the feeling of inertia, and the restless unease are all signs that you are navigating a complex inner map that has yet to reveal its paths. One reason this happens is the misalignment between values and actions. We live in a culture that prioritizes superficial markers of success, wealth, status, appearance, over authentic growth and meaning. A person may work tirelessly ticking boxes on society's checklist, yet feel empty, unmotivated, or incapable of sustained effort in areas that truly matter. From the outside, it looks like laziness. Internally, it is a profound disconnect between the soul's compass and the world's expectations. As Alan Watts once said, "You are the universe experiencing itself, yet so many navigate life as if their existence is merely a series of obligations." Another layer of being lost is the weight of unprocessed emotions and unresolved trauma. Gabor Mate highlights that many addictive behaviors, procrastination, and avoidance patterns arise from the mind's attempt to shield itself from pain. When fear, shame, or unresolved grief lurk beneath the surface, the body and mind instinctively resist movement. What appears as apathy or indolence is often a protective mechanism, a subconscious self-preservation strategy. The person is not lazy. They are guarding fragile inner territories that demand attention, not judgment. Societal distractions further compound this state. In a world flooded with endless information, social media, and artificial gratification, the mind becomes fragmented. Our attention, once a focused beam, now flits between stimuli, never landing long enough to cultivate clarity. Here, the lost state is amplified by external noise. It is not the individual's weakness, but the environment's design. We confuse busyness and distraction with purpose, while our inner self quietly waits for alignment. Yet being lost carries a hidden gift, potential energy. The pause, the hesitation, the confusion. They are all signals that the mind is gathering strength and insight before the next phase of intentional action. Mystics throughout history have described this period as the dark night of the soul. It is uncomfortable, yes, but it is also fertile ground for self-discovery. Just as seeds germinate beneath the soil in darkness before sprouting, so too does the human spirit use periods of uncertainty to reorganize, reflect, and prepare for authentic growth. The key to moving through this labyrinth is not forcing action, but cultivating self-awareness and curiosity. Observe the areas where you feel lost. What decisions cause paralysis? Which tasks evoke dread or avoidance? Which expectations are genuinely yours and which are inherited from society, family, or peers? By mapping these internal landscapes, you transform inertia into insight. Laziness dissolves into understanding. Passivity becomes conscious reflection. Finally, embracing the lost state allows us to see life as a process rather than a race. When you stop labeling yourself as lazy, the pressure of judgment diminishes, and you can explore your true needs, values, and desires. What emerges is clarity born not from forcing the self, but from listening deeply to its hidden currents. What once felt like stagnation now becomes the doorway to direction, intention, and alignment with the life you are meant to lead. Understanding that you are not lazy, but lost, is only the beginning. The true transformation comes when this insight is applied, when awareness translates into deliberate action that realigns your inner compass with your outer life. Here are practical techniques to help you navigate the fog and find your way. Map your inner landscape. Take time to journal or reflect on your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Identify the areas where you feel stuck or hesitant. Ask yourself, which tasks do I avoid and why? Are these tasks aligned with my deeper values, or are they imposed by external pressures? This exercise transforms invisible blocks into visible landmarks, giving you the first clarity needed to move forward. Shadow work. Carl Jung emphasized that the parts of ourselves we deny or suppress, the shadow, often govern our behaviors unconsciously. Begin by acknowledging the emotions or desires you've long ignored. Fear, anger, longing, or shame. Confronting these aspects does not make you weak, it frees the energy trapped in avoidance, allowing you to act with authenticity rather than resistance. Break the fog with small, intentional actions. When the mind feels lost, large goals can feel paralyzing. Instead, focus on small, deliberate steps. Even a single act performed with mindfulness and purpose can generate momentum. Think of it like lighting a candle in a dark cave. The smallest light begins to illuminate the path. Limit external noise. Modern distractions scatter the mind and amplify the sense of being lost. Set intentional boundaries around social media, entertainment, and non-essential obligations. Create periods of solitude each day, even if brief, to connect with your inner guidance. Silence allows the inner compass to speak. Cultivate alignment through values-based decision-making. Identify your core values: honesty, curiosity, creativity, freedom, connection, and use them as a guide for your actions. When choices are filtered through values rather than fear, expectation, or societal pressure, you move with purpose and the feeling of being lost diminishes. Embrace the pause. Do not fear periods of stillness or indecision. As the mystics teach, these are fertile moments for insight and transformation. Meditation, contemplation, or even mindful walks in nature can help integrate the lessons of inertia, turning confusion into clarity. Seek mentors and wisdom. Sometimes the path is unclear because the map is hidden. Seek guidance from those who have traversed similar inner terrain. Teachers, philosophers, spiritual guides, or even books filled with ancient wisdom. Their insights can illuminate corridors of your inner labyrinth you could not perceive alone. By practicing these steps, the fog begins to lift. Hesitation transforms into reflection, avoidance into discernment, and inertia into intentional movement. You no longer fight yourself. You learn to move in harmony with your own inner currents. The key is patience. Being lost is not a failure, but a temporary state that, when approached with awareness, becomes a doorway to clarity, purpose, and authentic action. To call yourself lazy is to misunderstand the deeper currents that shape your life. What feels like inertia is often the subtle language of the soul, a signal that your inner compass has been obscured, that the noise of the world has drowned out your true direction. Recognizing this truth changes everything. You are not broken. You are not deficient. You are, in the words of the mystics, a traveler in a labyrinth, pausing to find the path that leads to your authentic self. Throughout this journey, we have explored the wisdom of philosophers and spiritual teachers who understood the distinction between outward inaction and inner disorientation. From Carl Jung's shadow to Nietzsche's abyss, from Taoist Wu Wei to Schopenhauer's reflections on the restless will, each insight converges on a single truth. Being lost is not failure, but an opportunity for profound transformation. It is a space where clarity emerges, where values are clarified, where the self can realign with its deepest purpose. The practical techniques we explored, mapping your inner landscape, confronting the shadow, embracing small intentional actions, and creating silence in a noisy world, are not quick fixes. They are tools for attunement, instruments to help you listen to the quiet signals that have been whispering all along. By practicing patience and reflection, by learning to navigate the labyrinth instead of judging yourself for wandering, you step into a life of intentionality, authenticity, and alignment. Remember, the next time you feel paralyzed, distracted, or uncertain, do not condemn yourself. Pause, observe, reflect. Ask where your energies are being scattered and what hidden truths demand acknowledgement. You are not lazy, you are lost. Yes, but being lost is only the first step toward being found. In this discovery lies your power. In the stillness lies your potential. And in the acknowledgement of your disorientation lies the beginning of a journey that leads not just to productivity, but to meaning, purpose, and the profound satisfaction of walking a path that is truly yours.